All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a place with a name that just sounds epic, doesn't it? Borobudur. And its story, well, it's got everything. Incredible artistic genius, centuries of just mysterious silence, and then this absolutely breathtaking comeback onto the world stage. And here it is. This is what Borobudur looks like today. I mean, just take that in. It's the largest Buddhist monument in the entire world, right there in central Java, Indonesia. It's this place of just profound peace. You see those monks at sunrise walking the ancient paths? They're doing pretty much what monks did over 1,000 years ago. It looks eternal, like it's always been there and always will be, as if it could never be lost. But that right there is the massive question at the heart of this whole story. How on earth does something this colossal, this important, just vanish for nearly 500 years? And we're not just talking about being forgotten. It was literally swallowed by the jungle and the earth. So how did that happen? Let's find out.
Okay, so to really get a handle on what was lost, we first have to understand what Borobudur was in its prime. Because you see, it was so much more than just a building. It was a whole philosophy, an entire idea brought to life in stone.
So here's the basic rundown. It was built way back in the 9th century, during the rule of the super powerful Sailendra dynasty. And the most important thing to get is that Borobudur isn't just a random pile of pretty stones. Nope. It's basically a physical map of the Buddhist universe. You could even call it a kind of spiritual machine, designed to guide people on their journey.
And that is the absolute key. A pilgrim doesn't just visit Borobudur, they experience it. When you walk its corridors and climb up through its levels, you're on a journey. You start at the bottom, which represents our messy, everyday world of desire. Then you move up through the middle levels, a world beyond form. And finally, you reach the top, the formless spiritual world. You are physically walking the path to enlightenment, to Nirvana.
And the scale of this thing is just mind-blowing. The whole structure is built on 9 huge stacked platforms. You've got 6 square ones at the bottom and then 3 circular ones up top. Altogether, they create this incredible stepped pyramid that just seems to climb right up into the sky. Now, decorating those platforms, almost 3,000 individual relief panels. Think about that. Every single one is intricately carved, telling a story from Buddhist teachings. If you actually laid them all out end to end, they would stretch for miles. It's one of the biggest collections of these kinds of carvings anywhere on the planet. And then, watching over this whole scene, you had over 500 statues of the Buddha. Just imagine that, a silent, serene army of enlightenment. So yeah, this wasn't just a temple, it was truly a man-made mountain of faith. So how does a place like this, a vibrant, thriving center of worship and learning, just fall silent? How does it get lost? Well, that brings us to the next part of the story. So if you look at this timeline, what just jumps out at you is the huge gap, right? That long, long silence. It gets built in the 800s when Buddhist influence was at its peak. But then by the 1400s, it's basically abandoned. What happened? Well, it was kind of a perfect storm. You had massive volcanic eruptions burying the area in ash over and over. At the same time, the political power in Java was shifting, and Islam was becoming the main religion. So the temple was just left to the jungle. And it stays that way until 1814. We're talking almost 500 years before it's really seen again. And when we say lost, we mean it. The temple wasn't just sitting there empty. It was buried, covered completely by layers of volcanic ash and just relentless jungle growth. It basically turned into this big, mysterious hill in the landscape. And for the local people, it became this place tied to bad luck and scary stories. There were even tales about people who went there and died soon after, which, didn't exactly encourage visitors. And wow, this side-by-side really tells the story, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this vision of its golden age, a vibrant, bustling spiritual center. And on the other, what it became. A crumbling, overgrown ruin by the 19th century. The difference is it's pretty heartbreaking to see. So the comeback story starts in 1814. The British governor of Java at the time, a guy named Sir Thomas Stanford Raffles, hears these local stories about a massive monument hidden in the jungle. He's intrigued, so he sends a team of 200 men led by a Dutch engineer. And for 2 straight months, these guys just hacked, burned, and dug their way through the wilderness. Slowly, piece by piece, they peeled back the centuries of jungle to reveal the incredible stone wonder underneath. But, finding it was just the first step. uncovering Borobudur was actually just the beginning of the problem, because the whole thing was in serious danger of completely collapsing. Saving it was going to take one of the biggest, most ambitious restoration projects the world had ever seen. Now, there were really two major rescue missions. The first one, back in the early 1900s, was a fantastic start, but it was kind of like a surface-level fix. They cleaned things up, but they didn't solve the real underlying problem: water. See, rain was seeping deep into the temple's core, making it swell up and push the stone walls out. The whole thing was being destroyed from the inside. So the second big effort, led by UNESCO in the 70s and 80s, was a total game changer. It was a complete overhaul designed to save it for good. I mean, just try to wrap your head around the scale of this project. They literally took it apart like the world's biggest, most complicated jigsaw puzzle. We're talking over 1 million stone blocks. Each one was carefully removed, labeled, and cataloged. Then they built a brand new, modern drainage system inside the structure's core. And then they put every single one of those million-plus stones back in its exact original spot. It's just absolutely incredible. And this is the secret to its survival. This is the hidden genius of that whole restoration. What you're seeing here is the modern engineering, the concrete, the PVC pipes, that's now buried deep inside the temple. This is the system that channels all that damaging rainwater away. It's this totally invisible, modern heart that allows the ancient body to live on. And all that incredible work, it absolutely paid off. In 1991, the massive project was finally finished, and a reborn Borobudur was officially declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was finally recognized for what it is, a treasure, not just for Indonesia, but for all of humanity. But hold on, the story doesn't end there, because Borobudur isn't some dusty museum piece locked behind glass. It's a living, breathing monument, and being reborn into the modern world has brought a whole new set of challenges. Today, the temple has really gotten its spiritual heart back. It's once again a major center for Buddhist pilgrimage, especially during the celebrations for Vesak Day. The sounds of chants and prayers, they finally return to its ancient stones. But keeping it safe is a constant, ongoing battle. The very same volcanoes that buried it once still threaten it with corrosive ash. The earth still shakes with frequent earthquakes. The sheer number of tourists wears down the stone stairs. And sadly, it has even been the target of a horrific bombing attack in the past. And all of this leaves us with a really big, really important question for the future. Borobudur was saved from the jungle, but can it be saved from us? From the modern world? Figuring out how to balance its purpose as a sacred place of worship, a massive tourist magnet, and a fragile piece of our shared world heritage, that is the great challenge for its next 1,000 years.